Students, the objectives of today's lecture will enable you to understand what are alkyl halides. We are going to discuss its definition and the types of alkyl halides, the nomenclature, physical properties, and reactivity of alkyl halides. Students, let us start today's lecture with the definition of alkyl halides. Alkyl halides are the compounds in which one of the hydrogen atom of the alkane has been replaced by one halogen atom. They are also known as halogen derivatives of alkanes. Now students, for example, this is an alkane, simple hydrocarbon, CH4. Now according to the definition, if one of the hydrogen atom is replaced by a halogen atom, we represent halogen atom generally by X. So this compound will become an alkyl halide, or it is also called as halogen derivatives of alkanes. Students, after knowing the definition, let us look into the types of alkyl halides. They may be mono, di, tri or polyhaloalkanes depending upon the number of halogen atoms that are present in the molecule. Now students, look at the first molecule. You can see that only one halogen atom is present in this compound. That is why it is called monohaloalkane. And monohaloalkanes are generally called alkyl halides, having general formula Rx. R is the alkyl group, X being the halogen atom. Similarly, in dihaloalkanes, you can see two halogen atoms are present. That is why it is called dihaloalkane. And in trihaloalkane, there will be three halogen atoms. That is why it is called trihaloalkanes. So the type of alkyl halide depends upon the number of halogen atoms that are present in the compound. Now students, let us look into the classification of alkyl halides. Alkyl halides are classified into primary, secondary, and tertiary alkyl halides. Let us see what are primary alkyl halides. An alkyl halide in which the halogen atom is directly attached to a primary carbon is called primary alkyl halide. Now what is a primary carbon atom? A carbon atom that is attached to one carbon atom or none, no carbon atom, is called a primary carbon atom. Now over here you can see that the primary carbon atoms are represented by stars. In the first example, students, you can see that the carbon to which the halogen is attached is further attached with no carbon atom according to the definition. This carbon atom will be called as primary carbon atom, and this alkyl halide is primary alkyl halide. Look at the second example. The halogen atom is attached to such carbon atom which is further attached with one carbon atom. Again, according to the definition, this carbon atom is the primary carbon, and this alkyl halide is called primary alkyl halide. Similarly, you will observe the situation in 1-chloropropane. The carbon to which the halogen is attached is further directly attached with one carbon only. That is why this carbon is primary carbon atom and this alkyl halide is primary alkyl halide. Students, always remember that when all carbon atoms of the alkyl group of a primary alkyl are in a straight chain, as you can see in N-butyl, this is a straight chain alkyl group, the prefix N is used before the name which indicates the normal. Normal means a straight chain structure. So such an alkyl halide, which is a primary alkyl halide having a halogen group attached to such a carbon chain which is a straight chain, will be represented by N as a prefix. N over here stands for normal, means straight chain hydrocarbon. Now students, let us look at the second classification of alkyl halides, which are secondary alkyl halides. An alkyl halide in which the halogen atom is attached with a secondary carbon atom is called secondary alkyl halide. Now what is a secondary carbon atom? It is an atom that is attached to two carbon atoms simultaneously. The carbon atom to which the functional group means the halogen is attached will be further attached simultaneously with two carbon atoms. Now students, here are the examples. You can see in the first example, which is isopropyl chloride or 2-chloropropane. The carbon atom to which the halogen is attached is further attached directly with two carbon atoms, making this carbon a secondary carbon atom and this alkyl halide as a secondary alkyl halide. Students, observe the same situation in the second example, which is secondary butyl chloride or 2-chlorobutane. You can see that the carbon to which the halogen is attached is further directly attached with two carbon atoms, making this carbon as a secondary carbon and this alkyl halide as a secondary alkyl halide. Students, the third classification is tertiary alkyl halides. An alkyl halide in which the halogen atom is attached to a tertiary carbon atom is called a tertiary alkyl halide. Now, what is a tertiary carbon atom? A carbon atom that is attached to three carbon atoms simultaneously or directly is called a tertiary carbon atom. And such an alkyl halide will be tertiary alkyl halide. Look at the example of tertiary butyl chloride or 2-methyl 2-chloropropane. 1, 2, 3. 2-methyl 2-chloropropane. You can see the carbon to which the halogen is attached is simultaneously attached with three carbon atoms, making this carbon as a tertiary carbon atom and this alkyl halide as a tertiary alkyl halide. Now students, let us start the topic of nomenclature. Alkyl halides are named according to the following systems that we have been studying for all the hydrocarbons previously, means the common system of naming and IUPAC system of naming. In common system of naming, this method consists of first writing the name of the alkyl group to which the halogen atom is attached and then writing the name of the halide ion. For example, you can see this hydrocarbon consists of two carbon atoms, making it an ethyl group. So according to the rule, first we have to mention the alkyl group, which in this case is ethyl. Secondly, writing the name of the halide ion, means in this case it is chlorine atom. So the name is ethyl chloride. Now students, in common system of naming, the rule for secondary alkyl halide and tertiary alkyl halide is that for secondary alkyl halide we have to add a prefix secondary, a shortcut of secondary, which is SEC. We have to add it as a prefix. And for tertiary alkyl halide we add a prefix TER, ter, a shortcut of tertiary, or simply we write T for tertiary. It is added before the name of alkyl halide. Look at these examples: secondary propyl bromide or isopropyl bromide. Why do we have secondary over here? Because the carbon to which the halogen is attached is further simultaneously or directly attached with two carbon atoms. That is why it is secondary propyl bromide. In the other example, it is the example of tertiary alkyl halide. You can see the bromine atom is attached to a carbon atom which is further simultaneously attached with three carbon atoms. That is why we have used the prefix ter, tertiary butyl bromide. Now students, let us start the IUPAC system of naming alkyl halides. According to this system, alkyl halides are named as derivatives of alkanes, and following are the rules that are applied. First one, the longest chain bearing the halogen atom is selected as a parent hydrocarbon. Secondly, the prefix halo. For example, if we are having chlorine, we are going to use chloro. If we are having bromine, we are going to use bromo. It is used before the name of the hydrocarbon. Third, positional numbers are used to indicate halogen and other substituent by the usual methods that we have already studied in alkanes. Look at the first example, bromobutane. Look at the second rule. We have used bromo for bromine atom that is attached to a straight chain butane. So the name is bromobutane. Second example, this hydrocarbon comprised of 4 carbon atoms, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 substituents, a methyl group and a bromide group is present. We are going to start numbering from this carbon atom 1, 2, 3, 4. So the name is 2-bromo, 3-methyl butane. Third example, it is 2-bromopropane, 1, 2, 3. The bromine atom is present on second carbon atom. That is why we have to mention the position to which the halogen atom is attached, 2-bromopropane. Students, just like other hydrocarbons, as we have discussed in benzene, IUPAC accepts some common names. So for alkyl halides, these are the common names that are also accepted by IUPAC system of naming. For example, ethyl chloride, you can see chloroethane is also called ethyl chloride, or isopropyl bromide is also accepted by IUPAC, and tertiary butyl bromide